Get in here. Come on in, get in here. I'm gonna get some stuff set up, but come on in here, get in here. It's 8 o'clock, it's Monday. Strengthen Your Soul is on. So don't delay. Get in here. Get in here. We need you. We want you. As always, 8 o'clock. I wrote it a little smaller tonight. Hopefully you can see it. I'm trying to play with lighting. I just figured out how to change the contrast. So yeah, I hope I've got good lighting. Sometimes some of you give me some feedback on that, and it's super helpful. But get in here. Come on. Let's get going. Grab a drink. As always, our schedule, 8 o'clock, we open up. 8:01, we take a drink together. We cheers each other. 8:02, we start. About 8:10, we try. And in this series, the whole goal is to strengthen your soul. And what I mean by that is to actually learn how to connect deeply with others and deeply with God or the universe, or for those inside of faith, for Jesus, to connect deeply with Jesus. So get in here, grab a drink. Tonight I'm having some green tea with tropical fruits and flower petals. It's pretty good. I got one or two more sips left, but come on in here, get your favorite drink, get a good drink, make a good choice. And in a few seconds, we will choose each other, and then we'll get right to work. So here we go. With that being said, cheers. It's good to be back with you on a Monday. All right, so tonight we're kicking off a bit of a series on leadership. Actually, somebody commented and said, that could be super helpful if we talked about leadership. And how do you use leadership and step into leadership in a way that not only strengthens your soul, but somebody else's? So leadership is this thing that's written about extensively. It's in the business world. People are always talking about leadership. So tonight we're going to do a couple of things. One, we're going to define just what is leadership. What is leadership? Two, we're going to actually create a bit of a framework to see how our leadership might expand, where we're exercising it, and how we could use that to actually connect our souls with other people and with God, and to really strengthen it. So how many of you watching right now would consider yourself a leader? Probably none of you are going to answer in the comments, I'm a leader. But I remember when I was a kid and very young, probably 13 or 14 years of age, and a mentor of mine, he stepped up to me. It sounds like he challenged me for a fight. He didn't step up to me. But I remember we were talking, and he kind of got a little serious, and he said to me, he said, Kyle, you need to know something about yourself. What's that? 13, 14. He said, you're a leader. You're a leader among your friends and your peers. And you need to learn how to use that for good. And I remember when he said it, I kind of pulled back. And some of you have done this as well when people have said, you're a leader. You go, no, not me. Not me. I could never lead anything. And so I want to flesh out, what does it mean to be a leader? So again, some of you, when you think of being a leader, you think of, I'll jot down some like classic, like what is a leader? And with the purple pen, I will write down all the things that leadership is not, but is often considered to be. Leadership, we sometimes think is public speaking. We sometimes think of leadership as direction. Sometimes we think of leadership as a charisma or energy. And what I need you to see is this. Not a single one of these tools are leadership. Not a single one of these tools are leadership. They're all tools that can help leadership. They're all good tools to develop for life. An ability to manage your energy, charisma to demonstrate both power and compassion towards people, so they like you, basically. Direction, knowing where you're going. That is, again, it's a tool for leadership, but it is not leadership in and of itself. And finally, public speaking is a super handy skill. Actually, I do some videos on strengthening your mind, having a clear mind and such, way less spiritual based at lunchtime. And I talk a little bit about how to effectively speak in public. And so that you can check those out. None of these are leadership. So just what is leadership? And leadership, I'll give you a simple definition. It's sort of modified from a number of people, but it means living into, this is going to sound so boring, but it's so helpful. Leadership is living into standards that others do not demand of you. Leadership is living into standards that others do not demand of you. Here's what I mean by that. There are people who go, we're gonna raise $1 million for this charitable organization. But here's the thing: you can actually now, if you're a charitable organization, you can hire a fundraising company that will lay out a direction for you, and they actually work for you. So they're not leading this fundraising campaign. They're just collecting a paycheck. They're actually doing what they've been told. They're actually following. Leadership is about doing what others do not demand of you. So, for instance, leadership is living in standards that others don't demand of you. So, for instance, when it comes to in your sphere of influence, let's say, when you actually do things for others to help them, when you serve people, let's make it a little more tactile, a little more real. When you get up early and make your family, let's say you got a partner, or you got kids, or you're even at home with your parents. If you get up early and make them breakfast just to honor them and love them and serve them, and nobody asked you to, you have exercised leadership. Why? Why? Because you determined the direction for the day, but you did it without being told to. And when you exercise real leadership, when you live into standards that nobody else could demand of you, you have a power not only to master your own soul, but to actually influence those around you. And Jesus actually taught about leadership very clearly. And Jesus said this, that leadership in the most powerful way, in a way that actually heals the soul, is about serving others. It's about doing for others what they couldn't demand from you. So again, if you do a good work at work, you're not leading. But if you go to work and you say, I'm going to create as much beauty and life and joy and productivity and efficiency, whatever it may be, in my job in a way that nobody could reasonably demand from me, you have become a leader in the truest sense. Again, these tools will help. So leadership, just to reiterate this, to sort of hammer it into our soul, is living into standards that others do not demand of ourselves. So in my own story, when I felt like I was called to help people connect deeply with God, felt that as part of my calling, the first thing I did is I started to read about the life of Jesus, started to read the scriptures, read the Bible, and I did it for 2 hours a day, roughly. 2 hours a day. I just said, if I'm going to teach people how to connect with God, I got to figure out who He is, what God is like, and I actually had to pay a cost. I had to live into standards that nobody could reasonably expect from me. And it started to develop a part of my soul that I truly believe anybody can develop. So I think there's a special sort of gift of leadership, but I also believe in terms of living into standards that nobody else can demand, you and I can do that. And we can start to use our influence, our power, our strength to actually serve others, which is true leadership. So I want to give you just a few, and again, this is sort of an introductory talk. It's the beginning, but this can really strengthen your soul. I want to give you 6 standards that I believe, if you would lean into one of these, and just embody this value or this standard would actually strengthen your soul, because you'll actually come into alignment with God Himself, and you will start offering to people the gift of a value that is seen most clearly in God. So if you don't understand leadership, if you don't understand living in the standards that others can't demand from you, you'll never know what it's like to fully connect with God. You'll never know what it's like to fully connect with God. And you'll never know what it's like to live truly free. Because when you live in this way that others can't demand from you, then you're actually free. But let me give you these 6 standards, and then we're going to spend a little bit of time trying, leaning in, thinking, reflecting, praying, and going, where am I doing this really well or decently? And then where do I need to focus my attention? Okay, so 6 areas. The first one is this: love. Jesus, his promise was, I have rest for your soul. But one of the things that separated Jesus from everybody else is this: his willingness to do good for others in love. So Jesus was criticized because people who didn't fit society loved him lots, and they loved him because he received them with all of his power, with all his notoriety. So here's a question: what kind of standard do you set for yourselves and those around you when it comes to love? Do you, and love isn't just a feeling, it actually does. So do you set a standard of helping and serving and loving and giving, of love, that others can't demand of you? This is probably the hardest and most important standard to lean into to become an effective leader. So here's the big idea. When you go, it is my aim to outlove everyone around me. It is my aim to outlove everyone around me. Then all of a sudden you have start to create like a great vortex of love. You're leading. Number 2 is truth. When you become the type of person who goes, I'm no longer going to lie. I'm no longer going to BS people. I'm not going to hide the truth. I may be skillful in how I present it, but I'm not going to deceive or trick or lie to anyone. You begin to lead. You begin to lead. And number 3, joy. Or what you might say, fun. When you set a standard that every aspect of life can be one that at least brings a deep satisfaction to your soul, you're beginning to lead. Or when you just go, wherever I go, there's going to be fun. Even in the midst of pain, even in the midst of difficulty, I'm going to try to bring joy into that moment. Then you're leading. And we're going to go quick so we can wrap up on time. Number 4 is this, what I would call creativity or beauty. I don't have any more room on that side. So creativity or beauty. So what if you said, everywhere I go, I'm going to start making that a little bit more of a beautiful place. It's going to be more aesthetically pleasing. It's going to be more ordered, more wonderful. Then you begin to lead. You begin to lead. Generosity. Generous with your time, generous with your compliments, generous with your money and resources. And last but not least, we'll use excellence. Now, whatever you do it with your whole heart. That you go, whenever I make a video, write a book, send an email, I do it as best I can for what the task requires. I do it at a standard that others can't demand. So how does this connect you with the heart of God? Well, number 1, when you live out any one of these 6 standards, what you'll see is all of these come from God. All of these actually bring you into alignment with the universe. And again, when I say universe, you know what I'm talking about. I truly believe that those of you outside of faith, and I respect you, I love you, I really love you. That's why I use terminology that hopefully is helpful to you. But I believe you're seeking for God. And I know He's seeking for you. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to reflect. We're going to look at an area And we're going to think of commendation. That's a fun word. Where are you doing a good job? Where does the Father of your soul go? Well done. Drop my marker lid. Can't stop it. And number 2, what is an area to begin to focus on? To increase and expand your leadership. So we're just going to stop, reflect, pray, and listen. So, what is an area? Just you can pray alongside of me. God, what is an area of commendation for me? What's an area that I am living into well as a leader? And for me, truth comes in as an area that is commendable. I've worked a lot to just begin to tell the truth, to become more and more transparent, to live a life without secrets. And now let's go, what's an area to focus on? And for me, actually, and again, you might actually be strong in this area, but an area to grow in. It's an act of generosity. There's an act of generosity I know I need to take to a former employer and a good friend of mine. I feel like I've just been nudged a bunch and I haven't followed through in giving a gift to somebody who has been so good to me. So leadership is about living into standards that others can't demand from you. When you actually set healthy standards, healthy aims, healthy areas of focus, leadership starts bringing you into alignment, and it also shows you the need for grace, the need where you go, I'm not living up even to my own standards. And that actually humbles us. And one of the promises of Jesus is that when you get humble, God will actually receive you, won't reject you, won't push you away. And so with that being said, if you want to help somebody, you want to lead, this feels like leading to me. Because my goal is to actually help you to do a video every day on the weekdays to help people. I'd ask somebody to take a risk if you want, and like, comment, or share. It actually helps people. These videos have helped a lot of people. I've heard from dozens and dozens of people. So if you want to participate in helping others, that would be amazing. And no pressure, though. With that being said, hope you have an amazing night and look forward to seeing you tomorrow.